Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is set to answer many different burning questions from The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi that will be answered in Episode 9 as a way to really fulfill the Skywalker saga and the sequel trilogy itself. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's really exciting about Episode 9 is that we do know that at the end of the day, this movie is going to answer a lot of those questions related to Rey's lineage and her parentage and exactly who her father really is and or was, and exactly how that's all going to be utilized in this story by director J.J. Abrams is said to be very unexpected to the audience and, of course, the fans that go ahead and see this film come December of this year. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions and one of the set leaks, this is where things begin to get very exciting for Episode 9. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing about all of this is that a description, and it's described that one of the scenes that were filmed during the month of October of 2018 over in Cardington involved an unnamed actor, a young actress, and Daisy Ridley, where it's described to be a scene in the form of a flashback that explains more of the backstories of Rey's father. It's described that one of the scenes involves Rey's father holding a young Rey's hand in front of a tent on the desert world of Jakku, where it's said to be an emotional scene. The costume design for Rey's father was described to be Jan's COTF robe, -34V. It said that the name of Rey's father as Vidar, V-I-D-A-R, was an alias that he used during his travels across the galaxy. It's described that Jan, Y-A-H-N is how it's spelled, in the sequence is saying goodbye to Rey during one of his missions of discovering Jedi lore, and is said to be the moment in which Jan gives Rey her staff for the first time, that is said to have once belonged to an ancient Sith lore many years ago. The sequence is said to be very emotional for the audience and is described as a way for Jan to delve into the backstory of Rey's childhood and how she got her staff. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, the name Jan is a very interesting name. It sounds somewhat Star Wars-y, I guess you could say. Can't say I've really heard of this name before in the Star Wars universe or in Legends material, but it's spelled Y-A-H-N, and it's explained that the name of Vidar, V-I-D-A-R, was actually his alias all along. Now, Rey's father, we do know that J.J. Abrams said and confirmed over at Celebration on April 12th of just this year that there's a lot more to tell about Rey's parents and her father/mother and exactly how it's all going to tie into Rey's lineage in this story is said to be very important to the plot of Episode 9. So we do know that this film is going to be very important to both Disney and Lucasfilm as companies, but also to the Star Wars community around the world. We do know that this movie really does determine the future of the Star Wars franchise, so you can only imagine how important it is for Disney to make this movie a satisfying film. So this character, Jan, is said to be Rey's father, in the moment in which it's said to be a flashback scene where it's said to be a young version of Rey sitting in front of a tent with her father in front of her, handing her the actual staff. Now, this is said to be the moment in which Rey gets her staff for the very first time, and it's said to have once belonged to an ancient Sith Lord. Now, I don't know about you guys, but we do learn in Legends material that Darth Plagueis once owned a staff, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to start to wonder on whether or not this is indeed the authentic staff of Darth Plagueis. After all, we do know that there are going to be some Easter eggs and nods to Darth Plagueis in The Rise of Skywalker that's really going to tie all 9 movies together into one big movie by director J.J. Abrams. So the great thing about Episode 9 is that we also know that this film is going to answer a lot of the questions related to Rey's father and the connections he actually has to some of the legacy characters. That's one thing to keep in mind here, is that Rey's father is actually connected to at least one of the legacy characters in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Now, as we went over before a couple of days ago through the reveals by Kenobi and Anakin, is that, of course, Rey's father is actually a Force-sensitive individual and is very powerful through the ways of the Force and is still alive, as said by Luke Skywalker's Force Ghost to Rey at a certain point in time in this film. So it's somewhat similar to Rogue One, a Star Wars story where, you do get these flashbacks of Rey's childhood and her relationship with her father, similar to Jyn Erso in Rogue One, and then you jump ahead, couple of years, you know, and then you see the life of Rey or Jyn Erso, in that case in Rogue One, and you see the whole father and daughter relationship. It seems like that's exactly what they're trying to go for in Episode 9, and they may have very well been inspired by how that resonated with fans in Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, of how Galen Erso, you know, the whole entire dynamic between himself and the Death Star and creating the whole entire fault in that, is a very interesting aspect, in how they may have been inspired by that in order to use that in Episode 9. So Rey's father being named Yan, interesting name, like I say, and the fact that Vidar was an alias all along is very intriguing for sure indeed. COTF, by the way, for the costume design, obviously stands for Church of the Force without a doubt. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No, I'm not the one from night.